Alright you guys, so since the last video, I put these covers on. They're coming back off. I just put them on there to keep things clean. I'm missing a gasket up here, so it's going to come off so I can put that gasket on there. But since the last video, things I've done, I installed this coolant hose right here. Now this coolant hose goes to the water pump. So these two nipples that come off the water pump, that's where those hoses go to. Let's see if I can get you a shot from the back. So yeah, there's the water pump. Those are the hoses that go on there. Now I did this off camera because it was really difficult. Because if you see down here, there's that little bolt. That was in there and I was like, what's that bolt for? And then I had to figure out what went down in this cavity. And it was this hose, and I should have put this on before I put the rear timing cover on, but I didn't want to take the cam gears off and all the timing stuff off again. So I had to pull this lower line, the fat one, pull it off, and then I was able to jam it down this hole. And then getting that little bolt on with no access with a ratchet was a pain, but I got it done. That's why I did it off camera, because it took me probably 30 minutes to do this. And then, yeah, then this bolt goes right here to hold it on, and this bolt goes right here to hold it on. Okay, so this is one of the hoses that goes to the heater. This hose right here, this assembly of hoses, is also for coolant. And it sits on here like so. These lines on the ends were all crispy, so I got these new lines, and this line right here is new. So I installed those off camera. So yeah, now I'm just going to start putting on the coolant crossover, all the other hoses and stuff that go on the top. Alright, so now I'm going to install the coolant crossover pipe. So I got some new O-rings in my gasket set to go on here. Before I put this on all the way, I need to install this because the mounting brackets mount up in the bolt holes with the coolant crossover to go on. So I just wanted to make sure that I was putting on the right hole. Okay, so the torque for these guys is, it's only like 6.4 Newton meters, so that's pretty much hand tight, and then a little bit of a snug. You can see right here, this plug, this goes into the coolant jacket of the head. I'm gonna pop that out so that I can install this new thing I got. So let me get that out and I'll show you what I got. Okay, so this is the new part I got. It's a VEMS coolant balance kit. So basically, it's just this pipe right here. It's got a T, and then it's got like an AN fitting on the back right here. and they give you this fitting that threads into the block where that plug I just pulled out, and then you thread this onto here, and then you tee this into that hose I just put on, and then yeah, you clamp it and all that stuff. And what it's supposed to do is, so the driver's side of the engine, or the passenger side of the engine has good coolant flow because of the turbo, but the passenger side doesn't have very good coolant flow because it doesn't have turbo on that side. But the coolant just kind of sits in that cylinder 4 area and it gets really hot. So what this does is it creates a way for it to escape and recirculate into the system, so you get better coolant flow throughout the engine, and cylinder 4 will run cooler, and it also reduces the risks of ringline failure, which is how my engine failed in the first place. So I've noticed you can't run this down with a 1-inch socket because it hits this. So this needs to be clearanced somehow. Alright, well, this seems to keep on happening to me, but I went to go install this line right here that goes to the EVCS thing and the turbo and all that deal. But I needed to install this before the crossover pipe was put on. So I'm just going to take these bolts out and see if I can just pick up this side just enough to slide this through. And the torque for these guys is 29 Newton meters. I got all these lines cleaned up and stuff and ready to go back onto the turbo. So I'm just going to time lapse this, me putting everything on the turbo. I'm moving on to working on the intake manifold. Now I'm going to try to take off as much or as little stuff as I can, just because there's a bunch of hoses everywhere. But I'm going to replace all the gaskets and stuff, and I need to put the new fuel lines on and fuel rails and stuff like that. But I just wanted to show you this real quick. If you'll see, this is the throttle body. There's a line that comes off there, and then there's another line that goes right there. Those lines are for coolant to pass through, and they connect to these two tabs right here. Now, the idea that Subaru had, the reason they had to do that was in sub-zero temperatures, they'd flow coolant through the throttle body housing to free up this throttle body plate in case that it froze. But since I live in California and it's, I don't think ever been under 0, I think the lowest we've had it is probably 25 degrees, it's always sunny and stuff, I don't really need that coolant line. So I'm just going to delete it, and it'll lower my intake air temps, because from what I've heard that it doesn't do much of a difference, but you know, you have your intake manifold cooling the air, and then it comes into here and then it heats it back up again. So if you could just keep the air cool, I think that would be the best. So I'm just going to delete these lines. Now in order to do that, all I'm going to do is pull this line off as well. But when I pull them off, I'm just going to cut this line so that I can run it from this nipple to this nipple and just clamp it, and then it just bypass the whole throttle body and just flow back through. That'll be the easiest way to do that. And then once I finish that, I will start doing this whole intake manifold deal. So here is one of the lines that I pulled off. I think this one usually goes right here, but you can see this bend that it has. I'm going to plug this end onto this guy, and then I'm going to cut it like right here, and then I'm going to put that over this guy and clamp it. Okay, so now I'm going to install my TGV deletes. Okay, so there's a little indicator pin on here. Oops. There's a couple, and they hold the gasket on in the right place. Now I can put this guy on there. Yeah, take a look at that. Nice airflow straight into the valves. You can't really see the valves on the camera, it's dark, but yeah, it's got so much smoother airflow in there. I'm thinking I probably could have, smoothed these out better now, since you don't really have to have turbulent walls until you're past the injector, and the injector's right here, so this could probably have been polished smoother, but it's pretty smooth, so it should be fine. The torque spec for the TGV bolts to the head is 24 foot-pounds of torque, or no, 24 newton meters of torque. Alright, so I started putting stuff back together. Forgot I needed to film stuff. But to put these fuel rails on, you have to split them into two pieces from the hose connectors. Because this huge thing doesn't come through this small hole, so it has to come in this way. So it's just easier to split it. So I got that in there, and this bolts to here, of course. And then this came off of the old one, and I just put it on this guy. That's for like the evap. And where did this go? I don't know, but this one plugs into here, I believe, if I remember correctly. And then this guy plugs into there, like that. And I think that might connect to the intake, the throttle tube. I don't know, something like that. I got some figuring outs to do still. Alright, so I'm going to call it a video there. Tune in next time for the next video in the engine rebuild series. I'm kind of getting to the point where I need to buy more parts before I can continue. I need to get my fuel system stuff finished up. So the next video I might start pulling the transmission out and start working on that. But my up pipe just came in. So I'll probably wrap this and install it off camera. Well, my up pipe just came in, so I'll wrap this off video, and then I will probably, in the next video, I'll probably install this as well as install the turbo. So as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.